I had my identity stolen. Like someone opened up a whole bunch of credit cards and store cards in my name. They bought all this stuff. I started getting all these bills. Then I started getting rejection notices like you
Oh,
can't have
wow.
this Macy's card.
Hey, y'all. I'm Reema Khrais, and I'm the host of the Marketplace podcast, This is Uncomfortable, which is a show about life and how money messes with it. And welcome to our new video series where I ask people uncomfortable money questions. Our guest today is Molly Wood. Hey, Molly.
Hey, Rima.
How's it going? How are you feeling?
Great. I feel apprehensive and ready to bear all of my most
To
uncomfortable secrets, which is your magic power in life.
ready to bare your soul?
Yeah.
Um, all right. So I'm excited. I have a good list of questions here for you. So my first question is I'm going to just go in pretty strong right now.
Get it.
Um,
Yeah.
can you tell me about a financial mistake that you have made?
Yes, it involved my college, the university center, a free
Mm.
t-shirt and a frisbee and a credit card.
Okay. I need to
And then
hear
it
this.
took me like 10 years to recover from that, basically. Like a year later, my credit was ruined. No, so I was totally one of those people that like grew up without much of a financial education. I got a credit card, I think on
Mm,
my like first day of my freshman year in college, which is
love
something I
it.
think they've cracked down on since, and lived off of it for a summer. And that was it. I mean, really, like
How
that
much
was
did you
sort
rack
of the
up?
start of, probably not very much. I'm going to
Yeah.
say $5,000. But it was sort of a start of like, it was the start of a decade long realization that I had no idea how to deal with it. I had no idea how to deal with that
Mm,
problem. I like had trouble paying back my student loans. I mean, I did the entire disaster journey and then had to like rebuild it with the help actually of my then husband, who basically completed my parenting to like teach me how to be a financial adult in the world.
and wow, so that means you held on to the debt for a really long time.
I held on to the debt. My credit was terrible. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it was probably a decade of digging out from under student loans and credit card. Not even the debt, just the reverberation of the
Right.
debt. Like I wouldn't say that I was carrying around 10, I was lucky enough. The good news is that after I had ruined my credit basically immediately, it's not like I was getting any more credit cards or adding to it. So I was not a
Yeah.
person with, $100,000 in debt. I was just a person with like no understanding of exactly how to get ahead of these payments or the literal like logistics and paperwork of how to deal with it. And then
Right.
such bad credit that when I moved to the Bay Area, I had a hard time even renting an apartment.
Oh, interesting. It's because no
Yeah.
one teaches us these things. We don't
Nope.
know.
I am firmly in the camp of this should be curriculum in schools.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. Did it make you apprehensive about taking out credit cards after that? Or did you have
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with um, the idea of just sort of putting things on a card and paying it off every month,
Mhm.
which is what I do now because those points are free money. But
Sure.
it took me a long time to feel like I knew what I was spending when I did that.
Right. Right.
And now my credit is like the jewel of my adult life. I protect it like the, you know,
Right.
not the crown
You
jewels.
recovered. Um,
Don't you mess with it. I will come for you.
um, that's fascinating. Um, my
Thank you.
next question.
And embarrassing.
Hopefully this next question won't be as embarrassing, but maybe. Has money ever ruined a relationship for you or hurt it?
Um, that's a good question. I think, man, we're going deep here, aren't we?
I know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
first,
I don't think money has ruined a relationship, but it definitely, that situation where I just had this terrible credit. A friend of mine asked me to move to the Bay Area and be his roommate.
mhm.
And I was like, great, that sounds awesome. I live in Omaha. I will totally move to Oakland and moved here. And we essentially got evicted from the apartment that he had been renting because of my terrible credit.
Oh,
And
wow.
he had been my friend for long enough and was such a good friend that, we figured it out and we rented a different place. But I mean, I was like devastated. I was like, you did this lovely thing and said, I'm looking for a roommate. Come, we've been best friends for a really long time. And then I got us the boot.
Wow. So your credit score was not great.
No, no. I mean, I'm not
That's
even really sure what it was at that point, but I mean, it was terrible, and I don't, like, I joke about being embarrassed about it, but the truth is, you can't know what you don't. I didn't know.
yeah. You
I
just don't know.
literally did not know, and I didn't have the life skills what I had was all the accompanying embarrassment and shame then. And I was just like, I hid from it. I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm just going to hide from it. And, my more adult friends and my then husband were like, this is just math. It's just money. You just call them and you do this, and then you start this plan, and then you pay this much every month, and then it's like fine, and it goes away. And that was such a different approach to money than I had ever had. It was always like I grew up with no money. Like our
Mm.
whole modus operandi in life was hide from the bills.
Oh, really?
And
Where did
so
you grow up? I don't even know.
I grew up in Montana and North Dakota.
Oh, do you have a big family or?
No, I was raised by a single mom, and then I have one brother. So it was just a little unit
Oh,
trying to
nice.
trying to get by.
And so do you feel strongly about teaching? You have kids. Do you feel strongly about teaching them how to, their finances?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I remain and will always be grateful to his dad for, I mean, when he turned 11, he got him a bank account. He's got his little
Oh,
like
wow.
debit card. I think he even has a small investment account where he can buy fractional shares.
That's
And so
amazing.
I know. I mean, it's
How old
incredible. He is like light years ahead of where I ever
are
was. Where I ever was.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I'm gonna go through my list of questions. So, what was your first job ever?
My first job ever was I worked at a grocery store. I was a
Mm,
bagger and then a checker. I worked my way all the way up to checker.
nice. This
But I
was
was
like in
lucky in high school because I did a lot of sort of parallel work. Like I worked at the grocery store, but I also did my mom worked in youth services with like runaway and homeless youth. And so I worked a little bit with her agency. So I was like working at the grocery store and also doing HIV AIDS education on Native American reservations.
nice.
Yeah.
This was in Montana,
It was a weird time. This was in North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yeah.
And then what was your first job after college?
My first job, I went straight into journalism after college. So I went basically from, the last day of school to, well, I did an internship at a newspaper and then started with the Associated Press in the fall of my first year after college.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you hadn't become a journalist, what do you think you would have done?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I started out as a creative writing major,
Mm,
and I feel like I was really lucky to fall into journalism because I really liked writing, but I had this one creative writing professor who was kind of brutal. He was like, I think like technically there's not a lot I can teach you. Like you're a great writer,
mm.
those skills are fantastic. It just seems like you don't have that much to say.
What are you gonna write about?
And I was like, well, clearly I need to drop out of college and like travel the world and get some stories and like get myself in horrible trouble and like figure it out. Um, but it was not long after that actually that I met this woman who was the editor in chief. The school I went to, University of Montana, has a daily newspaper. So
Mhm.
you are like working. So she was the editor in chief of this daily paper. And she started talking to me about journalism. And I just kind of realized that there was like, I didn't have to come up with my own stories or like turn my life into a story, which is not my thing. I'm not that self-reflective. Um, that there was a whole universe of stories out there for me to tell. And that was just like, oh, awesome. There's an endless well. I'll just do that instead. The
Things to
only
write about.
other thing the only other things I contemplated becoming were a marine biologist, or I studied French for a really long time, like 10 or 11 years. And I considered becoming a translator. I considered going to
Oh,
the University of Wisconsin at Madison. They have like apparently a really well known, like simultaneous translator
oh,
program.
nice.
And I thought that
How's
would
your
have been,
French today?
yeah.
Oh, can you
How's
hear
my
me?
French today?
Yeah.
Oh, pas très bien.
Nice, nice. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, not very good. So thank you.
I don't know. Literally say anything, I'll be like, that's
J'ai
great.
oublié presque tout. I forgot almost all of it.
What does that mean?
I forgot almost all of it.
Oh,
Like,
that's
I feel
literally
like I have, like if I go there, I can get by and I can definitely limp along. But when you go to France and you try to speak French to them, they're just like, nah, we'll just
yeah,
speak to
no.
you in English. Good try, lady.
Um, I know that you really love space, so I was like, I wonder if in a different world you'd be like an astronaut
Okay,
or
so
like,
now, like
yeah,
maybe not then, but
right.
now I totally want to become a space lawyer.
Oh, a space lawyer. That is interesting.
Like, I want to go to law school and become a space lawyer because I think that that is going to be huge. Like, all the
Yeah,
questions of like mining legality and territory rights and, who knows, right? Like the future
it's
space
so
copyright
fascinating.
fights. Like, it's going to be freaking fascinating.
Whoa, I mean, it's not too late, you know?
I mean, it's never too late. Sorry, Marketplace.
Well, bye. Um, okay, let's get back to uncomfortable questions. All right, so
How many of us quit our jobs on your social video,
I know,
guys?
right? Okay, back to some uncomfortable questions. So,
Okay.
what is an expensive thing you own that you regret?
That I regret. Um,
I can also ask it another way.
I would say right now, nothing. There's an expensive thing that I feel
Weird about talking about.
weird about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
which I'm totally happy to talk about if we want to go that direction. Like, I
uh,
feel weird about this house I just bought.
oh, really?
Yeah, like I'm super proud of it. I mean, I'm a single mom. It took me 10 years to buy a house in the Bay Area. This is an incredible accomplishment. No one helped me. I should be
Mm,
so
that's amazing.
like impressed with and I am, but I'm also like I don't want to share it on so like I feel like people are
Mhm.
going to judge me and think I'm like a rich jerk because I managed to like buy myself a house that has a pool. And so
Oh, nice.
I feel which is like it was like the first pool ever. It was like totally a
Yeah,
dump. And I
yeah,
redid the pool and it's wonderful. And all I want is for this house to be like a hub for my family and friends, like a place that makes other people happy. I'm so excited.
amazing.
It's all I've ever wanted. And I literally am afraid that I'm going to like get the evil eye if I like put it on Instagram.
I know what you mean. I would feel the
Yeah.
same way, but like you deserve this house. Like you've clearly worked hard. Um, but I
Thanks.
know
But it is
it
like
can be.
it's a thing.
It is a thing for sure.
And it might just have been like growing up without any money, right? Or this sort of expectation that
Mm,
I never would have had any money, and maybe that's part of it. But I do think there's like either you share all the time. Wouldn't it be amazing to be like less self-aware? What a lovely
yeah,
way
that would be
to
great.
live.
I would love that.
I just I want to be a
Share-
slightly oblivious like baby narcissist. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, don't think twice about anything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, I was going to ask like how much of the ickiness or discomfort you feel has to do with maybe your upbringing and your relationship with money growing up.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I mean, we always like my mom, worked her hardest to give us like nice, safe places to live. But I think it is just this it's the sense of not wanting to trigger other people's envy and
Yeah.
also the sense that like money is not something that I was taught to value. Like my mom always worked for nonprofits. She
Mm,
helped thousands of, kids, at-risk youth all over this country her entire career. And then I went into journalism. It was like not a thing that we ever thought about. And so I think there is this kind of like discomfort and this sense that I was raised to try to be like above wanting things.
right. Right.
And then I grew up and I was like, I want a pool. I want that.
And you can do that if you can.
Just that one thing. I just want a
Yeah.
pool.
I want a pool so badly.
Come over.
Um, I mean, I
It's
might.
beautiful now. I
You're in
mean,
the Bay
pool party at my house. It's happening.
I love that. Okay. So, what is like a cheap thing that you own that just makes you so happy?
Oh my God. I mean, ironically, so many of those things. Let's see. I'm trying to think of my favorite cheap thing that makes me so happy. I'm literally looking around. It's like,
I
well,
know. I'm thinking what my answer would be.
I know. A cheap thing that I
Oh,
have.
you know, mine's right next to me. this makes me so happy. It's a sleeping
Ooh, yes.
mask. It just makes sleep so much better and like brings me so much comfort. And it has a nice like little plush part to it. Can't sleep without
Totally.
it. That's my thing.
Okay, this is there's something pinging in my brain because someone just asked me about something and I was like, dude, I got this at Target.
Mm-hmm.
That I will say what while I try to think of a more specific answer, there are a million things like that in my life where people are just like, oh, what is that thing? And I'm like, dude, I got this because we're deal people in my family. Like my
Yeah.
brother calls himself the deal king,
Oh, nice.
and so I'm always like, I got this at Target. Um,
Maybe those are the best things sometimes.
I know, and so I'm literally looking around. I'm like, I don't know, man. All these things. Like I got, my current favorite thing is I'm looking over at this like frosted purple glass vase that I found on the street.
Ooh.
Yeah,
What
here, I'm gonna get it. This is
was
gonna be
this like
quite a this is gonna be quite a lift. But it's this thing.
Oh, that's
Look at
beautiful.
this freaking
What?
gorgeous vase.
You
Girl, I
just found
found this
it
on the
on
street.
the road or
Yeah. So
what?
during the pandemic, okay, best tip ever. I don't know if this is happening in your neighborhood, but during the pandemic, everyone's getting rid of all their stuff and putting it on the sidewalk. I'll like straight up drive around on weekends.
That is true. I got rid of my dining room table, my living room table, and I put it out on the road and it was gone like within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, that's a
I think
smart move.
honestly, I think my cheap and free stuff makes me the happiest because it's just like
Mm, mm-hmm.
over time, like I feel like as you grow up, I'm trying to start to be less generic in my buying because like,
Mm,
I've had a lot of IKEA and Target over the years and I'm sort of trying to like class it up, but I can't
yeah,
stomach the spending that comes with actually classing it up.
I know. It costs so much. It's like, oh, you want a nice accent pillow? Okay, that's gonna be $80. Like just
What?
these. It's like, what? No, I'm not spending $80 on a pillow.
Why are
Um,
accent pillows so expensive? That is like a story. It's absurd.
yeah, I think that'll be the next TIU story probably. So, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be as it relates to finances?
It would be to not take it so personally.
Oh,
It would be to
interesting.
realize that, I would love to go back and just say like, hey, it's just money. Like you're gonna figure it out. It's not,
Mhm.
you're smart enough to do this. You're smart enough to do this and you don't have to have so many feelings about it. I mean, that was like a
Mhm.
revelation to me to meet people who
Mhm.
were just like, this is just bureaucracy. You do this, you
Right.
do this, you do this, and you win.
Because was it for like, you know, mm, 'cause it sounds like when you were in college, at least, um, there was a lot of shame around money for you.
Hmm.
And did it ever become a thing where your, um, your struggles with finances became sort of a reflection of how you felt about yourself at all?
Oh, 100%. That was my narrative. Like my narrative was I'm a disaster. You know,
Hmm.
I don't have it together. I'm not an adult
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah. That
Yep,
really impacts how you like go about the world too, if you feel like that about yourself.
absolutely. I mean, yes, like, it starts to become this because the thing is like this is why it's so important to learn it
Yeah.
is that no, I shouldn't have taken it so personally or I shouldn't have let it affect my self-worth, but the truth is like it does impact your ability to move through the world, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we couldn't stay in a house. We had to move. Like you can be mad at the game and the system, but the truth is life is a lot easier when you are winning it. When you're paying your bills on time, when your credit's good, you can have whatever you want at some point. That's how America works.
Right. And
And
you
so
have
it
been
does, it becomes a reflection of your self-worth, but it also does become legitimately how the society treats you. And
right.
that's
I
tough.
mean, something I think about a lot is just the fact that, like, I think someone once said this to me on the podcast that personal finances isn't a reflection of your personal ability. And that,
Yeah.
like, there's so much that influences your relationship with money, right? From your family to just like your position in society, systemic disadvantages. And so, to your point, yeah, it shouldn't and can't be something that you take so personally.
Right. And
Even though
I
it is a
think
very
just
personal.
learning it as a skill would make that so much easier. So
Hmm.
that it's just like a thing, because I feel confident in my ability to like work hard at just about anything and figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and if money was just in that bucket, of a thing where you learn the rules, they teach you in school, then you know how to do it.
Right. That's
God,
simple.
what a concept.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could change so much about our curriculum. Like, I want that, and I want more emotional learning in schools, which I know it like sort of happens organically, but I just think there are some things that need to be taught,
Yeah.
and those are things I feel
Specifically.
strongly. So our season is all focused on scams. It's a big theme, like literal scams, but also just thinking about the ways society leaves us feeling cheated.
Hmm.
And I'm curious, have you ever been scammed?
I had my identity stolen
What?
after yeah, I mean, not in the life ruining way that you hear
Right.
about necessarily, but remember when there was like a big Target hack. It was like one of the first huge corporate hacks. It was, I don't know, early 2010s maybe. And and I fully had my identity stolen. Like someone opened up a whole bunch of credit cards and store cards in my name. They bought all this stuff. I started getting all these bills. Then I started getting rejection notices like you
Oh,
can't
no.
have this Macy's card. And it turned out that like I call what most of the companies that I contacted about it were pretty laissez-faire, right? Like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, this kind of thing happens. We'll close the accounts.
Mhm.
Some of them did, like it took me forever, Macy's, to
Mhm.
get this account closed and convince them that it wasn't something that I had opened. It was really, really difficult. And as I have mentioned, I had worked a very long time to get my credit to crown jewel
Right.
status. And this thing came along and was like, and
Ah, what a
yeah, it was
headache.
not cool. But what was fascinating is that the electronic store Fry's, which will always have a place in my heart, just closed down.
Hmm.
They are an independent. They were an independent store, and they were not happy about this situation because someone had opened a Fry's card in my name, and they tracked them down and got them arrested. Like Fry's, like internal investigation
Whoa,
team,
they made it their mission.
they made it their mission and they found these people. They had like taken out electric bill, like they signed up for utilities in my name. But what was so crazy is they told me that these people had had access to basically my entire credit file because they were able to answer all the challenge questions. You know how when you sign up for credit now, somebody will be like, did you used to live on this street?
That's frightening.
Which of these accounts is associated with you? And they knew the answers to all of those things.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's
it was bonkers.
terrifying.
Yep.
How long did the saga go on for?
It was easily almost 2 years
What?
getting it all cleaned up. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a story.
It's no joke.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
now my boyfriend gets scammed from India all the time. And he keeps watching all those YouTube videos where like the scammers try to scam the scammers.
Oh, yeah, those are funny.
Yeah. But I'm a little worried that he's going to try it. I'm like,
To try to scam the scammer.
yeah. I'm like,
Which
dude, that's playing with fire. Like they know a lot more
is
than you do. They're
yeah,
experts at this.
100%. Yes, I agree.
Yep.
Well, good luck to your boyfriend. Hopefully he won't get scammed. Um,
He's darling, but kind of a dum dum. Like, there's no stopping him.
well, listen, this has been fun. I legitimately feel like I learned a lot about you. And I really appreciate you opening up.
Thanks, Reema. Thanks for having me on. This is kind of
You.
cathartic, actually. When I
Yeah,
put it all together, it makes me feel weirdly more proud of myself.
yeah, you should be. We
Yeah,
can do a part two soon. If you'd like, we can make this into a series with
totally. Let's do it
um,
at the pool. Come on over.
I
All
mean, I'm going to. All right. Thank you so much. I really
right.
appreciate it. All right.
Bye.